properly inflate your Nyce haul or Nyce ride inflatable kayak, we use the Leadfield D7 valve throughout our Nyce ride and Nyce haul models. These also apply to Leadfield's C7 valve as well. Very similar valve. D7 is just newer, a little bit of a shorter profile, works better for the drop stitch floor. So let's go ahead and get started. You can start by unscrewing the cap of your Leadfield valve, and you'll see that there's a spring-loaded valve stem in here. And if you kind of zoom in on the valve itself, you'll see the writing D7 right here. That'll let you know that that's the valve you're working with. This valve stem has two potential positions in which it can be at any given time. It can be in one-way mode or two-way mode. One-way mode simply allows air to go into the chamber, but does not allow air to escape the chamber. So this is going to be the mode that you'll want obviously be in most of the time when you're on the water, so that air is not escaping. And then two-way mode, if I depress this valve stem with my finger and twist counterclockwise, you'll see that valve stem is now seated lower in the valve itself. Valve is now in two-way mode, which allows air to both escape and enter the chamber. You want to use two-way mode when you're rolling up or deflating and rolling up your kayak, but we also use it when we're utilizing like a mechanized pump. So we use a battery-powered pump. We find that putting it into two-way mode allows us to get a fair amount of air into the chambers before we close it off and then finish the inflation with a hand pump. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. This is a battery-powered shop cleanup tool. It's basically like a leaf blower, much smaller, handheld, and again operates on a battery. We love these tools because you can inflate them anywhere. You're not tethered to a wall outlet. You're not tethered to your vehicle outlet or your vehicle battery. And it allows the chambers to fill up fairly quickly when compared to sitting there with a pump for the entire process. You can find these things at Harbor Freight or Home Depot, Lowe's, any of your kind of big box tool stores. So with that valve in two-way mode, which again is done by depressing the valve stem with your finger and twisting counterclockwise. Now all I have to do is take this shop blower, place it over the hole, pull the trigger. One thing you don't want to do when you're inflating these tubes is put too much pressure into one tube without inflating the other tube. These valves each service a distinct air chamber in the kayak, and those air chambers are separated in both the bow of the boat up here and then in the stern of the boat at the back there by what's called a baffle. And that baffle is a piece of PVC fabric that keeps these air chambers distinct and separate. Inflating one tube with too much pressure puts strain on the baffle. What you don't want to do is overstrain those baffles. What can happen is, a failure of the baffle, and then you'll have air seeping in from one chamber to the other. And now you no longer have two distinct air chambers. So again, just inflate this to light pressure. Took about 90% out of the work out of this with this hand pump, this motorized pump. So I'm going to repeat on the other side. Now that I've got that tube up to a light pressure, I then depress the valve stem again and twist clockwise to lock it shut into one-way mode. And again, as I mentioned, now the only way air can flow is one way into the chambers. So the pump that your kayak shipped with is going to have this Summit style or Halke Roberts style adapter at the end of it. This is the kind of valve you're going to typically find on paddle boards. We also use it for our Nyce Nugget. But also in your box and actually attached to your pump already should be this C7 D7 valve adapter. So you can take this clear tubing, slide it over the Halke Roberts / Summit style valve adapter, so it's nice and snug, and now you have yourself a leaf-filled pump. So you're going to take this, which is slightly threaded here, you're going to attach it to your valve, and you're going to turn it clockwise to screw it on. Now your hand's free, and you can use both hands to pump this up. So then go ahead and screw the other end onto the inflation side. So one side's inflation, the other side's deflation. And you're ready to start inflating. One other thing to mention is this is a double action pump. So this little valve here, when it's removed, puts the pump into single action mode. And what that means is air is only going to flow out of the inflation side of the hose on the downstroke. If I instead pop this valve back in and twist it, it is now in double action mode, which means air will flow out of the pump in both the upstroke and the downstroke, so kind of maximizes the efficiency of your pump strokes. Let's go ahead and finish this off. So as you're pumping, the pressure valve on the top will start to increase. You'll want to stop at about 2 to 3 psi for the side pump tubes. Now that I'm at 2 psi, I'm going to go ahead and unscrew it from this valve. Put the valve cover back on and repeat on the other side. So side tubes, 2 to 3 psi. Drop stitch floor, we recommend 8 to 10 psi. Thwarts are going to be somewhere in the 2 to 5 psi range, depending on how firm you'd like them. Okay, so that is it. That is how you inflate your Nyce ride or Nyce haul inflatable kayak. For our recommendations on how best to deflate your kayak, check out our deflation video. Thanks, everybody.